All right, today we're going to be talking about lighting, and we're going to begin by creating a new project. And this new project is going to be blank because we're not trying to make a first-person shooter or anything else. It's going to be for the desktop, and it's going to start with starter content. All right. And I want to make sure that it is basically empty. So I'm going to say create project, but I want to make sure we have the starter content. When we get that started, we're going to we want to name that lighting, because this is going to be a lighting demo. Then I'm going to create a new level. So in my lighting demo project, I'm going to create a new level. And I want to create an empty level. I don't want anything in it. I don't want any pre-made lighting. I don't want any objects like this, basically. I just want it to be empty. So I'm going to say empty, and so I have my new scene here. What I want to do is I want to name it. I'm going to save it as, and we'll call it lighting demo version. You can call it version 1. So we're going to have 2 versions, and I'm going to say save. Now what we want to do is we're going to use this empty world, and we're going to create some a basic room. We're going to be working out of our content folder because we are only working with a very basic project. So this project is really nothing more than our starter content and our scene files. As you can see, if you've made any scenes, which you wouldn't have, I've got a lighting demo version 1, lighting demo version 1. This is the level that I'm working out of. And I have starter content. We have architectural starter content, which have some walls and door frames, and we're going to be using that. We have, we're not going to be using any of those. We have different materials, which we'll be looking at. We have some particle effects, some fire. We don't necessarily need that, but we could use that. We have our props, which we're just going to be utilizing just this. This is pretty much what we're going to be using to build our little apartment room. And then there's some other things that you could use if you want to in your scene. But basically, we're trying to make a simple apartment. We're going to utilize some of these textures too, just to make it a little bit more to our liking. So we're going to be working with the props, and I'm going to go to the architectural first, not in the props, but the architectural, because basically what I want to do is build floors, walls, and doorways. So I'm going to be working with an unlit scene because there's no lights in my scene, and I'm going to drag this object, which will be flat lit, into my scene. Now this is my floor, and it's already a 400 by 400 scene. So I'm just going to work with 400 and 400 walls and those types of things. So here's a 400 by 400 door. And what I want to do is I just want to make a simple, small space. It doesn't have to be too big. You can make it bigger than this if you want. Scaling it up. A 400 by 400 wall with a window in it. And what I'm going to do is use my rotation tools to rotate that 90 degrees, negative 90 degrees, and I'll put it into place. Now this is where you want to work with different points of view. So as I'm working with this, I'm going to be looking at my different scenes, and I'm going to be moving this around so I can line things up as quickly as possible. So I can see here that it's not quite lined up with my walls. And I don't have to be super worried about things. I might make this room a little bit bigger. So I'm going to scale this up a little bit. I'm going to hit the R key. I'm going to give myself just a little bit more room in this direction and maybe in this direction. And I'm going to move these things down. I'm going to grab both of these, hit the W key, and I'm going to move them down in my scene. I'm going to frame it in a little bit so I can see it, and just push it around. So I'm just going to do this kind of thing for a little bit. I might grab this, hold down Alt, and drag this over. And then I might just take both of these and hit Alt and drag them this way and make another set of walls. Look at my scene here. make sure everything is lining up just a little bit. And I'm going to move it this way. I might add another little wall here. I could do that by dropping this in and maybe rotating it. Rotating it a little bit like so, 90 degrees. I'm going to push it back. I'll find out where I'm at in my scene, move it over. And let's see, I'm going to move it down here. Get a little closer. What's nice is I can scale this down in Z here in the blue region and get it to fit in this space a little bit. I don't want it to snap. I just want it to fit nicely. So I'm just gonna, I don't have to worry so much about getting this perfect because we're just trying to do a quick little light study. So I'm gonna set this up. I'm gonna go back to my perspective view and see how it's looking. And I'm not gonna put a wall here because I wanna keep it open. And if what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another 400 by 400 or 500 by 500. I'm going to drag this up. I'm going to rotate it so that it is now 90 degrees. And I'll use this as my ceiling. And I'm going to go back to my top view here. I'm going to say top. And I'm going to find out. I'm going to hit unlit so I can see it. So here's my rooftop, and I'm going to make sure it's not snapping. And I'm going to scale this in X. No, I don't want it to scale. I'm going to scale it in X and scale it in Z. And I'm going to make a quick roof like that. Let's see. Now I'm going to raise it up because it appears to be on the ground. So I'm going to grab that again. Should have named it. And I'm going to put it up here like so. So that would act as my rooftop. So basically I've got a scene where I've got a door. I can enter through this door and enter into a room. And I can also see it from back here. So I'm going to go back up here. So right now I've quickly put together a room. Now if I was to look at this lit, it's going to be totally black, because I have no lights in my scene. I would save at this point, and this is where I kind of want you to begin. So now I'm going to get out of my architecture and I'm going to go into the props, and this is where I'm going to begin to kind of populate my room. So keep in mind what we're going for is just an average apartment space or a small room where we're going to be having exterior light, some interior light, and some objects within the space. So as long as we have some objects within the space, it's going to capture some light and some ground, some walls. That's what we're going for. So we want to be thinking about not only that, but also just different lighting. So we want to consider light from an exterior source, light bulbs, lamps, and how it falls on desks and tables and those types of things. So we do want to think about this stuff, and you can experiment more and more and more beyond what we do just as the introductory setup. But we're going to use the props that we have in our scene, but we want to be mindful of kind of light and how it's shining on walls and reflecting from windows and that sort of stuff. So do keep that in mind as you are creating your scene. So if we want to add more surface space, say that maybe there's a bookshelf or something, you could certainly go and just go to the basic props and add just like a cube or something that you could scale down and you could put in place. This might represent a cabinet, this might represent something in that scene that you might want to have. Maybe it's a bookshelf, maybe it's something else, but you could put that, certainly put that in there and populate this room with more and more items. So what I want to do at this point is start adding things like, okay, maybe this is going to be an entertainment center or something, and begin to kind of populate that in my scene. And we'll start adding lights and things later on. Or maybe this is a big screen TV. Maybe this will have light coming from it. Maybe that's what it is. And we'll put it in there. And this is a big screen TV. And we'll just pop it on the wall, maybe over here between these two things. Maybe it's super big, and we can add that. And we can just have some fun populating this space with some items. Maybe another chair over here, and little tables, or maybe it's a coffee table. Maybe we have a couple of these. Maybe there's another one, only small, a matching table that might be small. And we can start to just have a little bit of fun. Maybe this goes between these two. And again, I want to work quickly, just trying to put things in place. Get an idea of just this space that people will be, maybe they're having a, maybe I want to do something like that. And then I'm just going to continue to fill this room with objects. And I don't want to forget about the light sources. So lights within my scene. Here's a lamp. There may be lamps in multiple places. There's going to be a variety of the different lamps. So I'm going to populate this space just like I'm doing here. Put the lamps on the wall where they belong. And let me frame that in. It's hard to see a little bit with light, without the light. And we're going to put that up here, move it up. Maybe it's on the wall over here. Maybe it's in the corner. So maybe there's a lamp here. All right, so I'm going to keep building my scene up. If you want to add other things, maybe there's staircases and stuff. There are other pieces of geometry that you could add. If you want to say, oh, maybe there's a staircase in this scene that might go somewhere else. Maybe it is a hallway or something. Oops, I don't want to do that. So what the point is, you can start to kind of create your own things and add them as if they would go someplace else if you want. And begin to populate a scene like this. So I'm going to also add, this is a little lamp, a ceiling lamp, so this would hang down from the ceiling. So this might be coming down over a table, or maybe if there's a dining room. I'm going to go back to my perspective views and really try to line things up a little bit more accurately. Let's say this is, maybe it got something hanging. It doesn't, in this particular case, I might have it a little bit higher, coming off the ceiling here. Something like that. There may be some others. So if I want to populate some others along the back, maybe I'll hold down Alt, and I will put some more in this scene, maybe along this area of the house. Maybe there's some over here. But wherever I put this, I do want to keep in mind that there will be light coming from it, possibly. They don't have to always be on, but they could be there. But I'm going to start to kind of hang some lights in my scene, maybe like so. So everybody's room is going to be different. Everybody's room can be set up in a different way and can be unique, which kind of makes it fun. So this is front, this is top. I'm going to see what the right looks like. So I'm going to just get things, I'm going to go to unlit, I'm going to go to wireframe. And I'm just going to kind of check this out. I want to make sure everything is lining up. These are all lined up. All right. I might want to put some plants in my scene, or maybe I have some plants over by a window. Maybe I want to put in some door frames. So here's a window frame. I'm going to put in a window frame around these windows and put those in place. So as I begin to kind of put things into my scene that will capture light, that will grab the light that's coming through the window, and that's going to make things look a lot better, because anything that can capture light will look, light can fall on it. So I'm going to say, I'm going to hold down Alt and I'm going to drag that over here, And I'm going to frame that in and look at